Welcome, dear listener, to the Lazy Lion Stories. Here, I invite you to unwind, let go of the day's worries, and step into a world of gentle tales and soothing dreams. Find a cozy spot, wrap yourself in a warm blanket, and take a few deep breaths. With every exhale, feel your shoulders relax and your mind grow quiet. Tonight, I share a tale of light and shadow, of love and loss. The legend of Baldur, the shining god of Asgard. So settle in, adjust your pillow, and let the story carry you away. Long ago, in the golden halls of Asgard, where the walls gleamed with celestial light and the air hummed with the whispers of fate, a child was born to Odin, the All-Father, and Frigg, the gentle and wise queen of the heavens. His name was Baldur, and from the moment he drew his first breath, it was clear he was unlike any other god. His hair shimmered like spun gold, his eyes held the calm radiance of a summer morning, and his presence brought an ineffable warmth to all who beheld him. The gods rejoiced at Baldur's birth, for he was the embodiment of light, purity, and peace. Wherever Baldur walked, flowers bloomed beneath his feet, and shadows seemed to flee from his gaze. In Asgard, he became not just a beloved god, but a symbol of hope and harmony in a world teetering on the edge of chaos. But fate, as ever, cast a long and inevitable shadow over even the brightest light. For all his beauty and grace, Baldur began to be troubled by dark dreams that gnawed at the edges of his peaceful spirit. Night after night, he dreamt of his own death, of shadows swallowing his light, of gods weeping under a blood-red sky, and of a pyre burning brightly against a cold and uncaring sea. The gods grew anxious, for dreams were not to be taken lightly. Odin himself descended to the underworld, seeking wisdom from the dead. There, in the cold and misty halls of Helheim, he encountered a restless spirit who spoke of Baldur's doom, a fate already woven into the threads of destiny. Odin returned to Asgard with a heavy heart, for the vision was clear. Baldur's death would mark the beginning of the end. Frigg, the mother of Baldur, could not bear the thought of her beloved son perishing. With a mother's love burning bright in her chest, she set out on a desperate quest across the 9 realms. She traveled to the soaring peaks of the mountains, the deep, glimmering seas, the fiery pits of Muspelheim, and the frozen wastelands of Niflheim. From every creature, every element, and every stone, she extracted a sacred vow. No harm shall ever come to Baldur. Fire promised not to burn him. Water vowed never to drown him. Iron swore not to cut him, and even the animals, from the mightiest wolf to the tiniest sparrow, pledged their loyalty. When Frigg returned to Asgard, weary but victorious, she announced that Baldur was now invincible. The gods rejoiced, and their fear began to fade. They devised a curious game to celebrate. They would hurl weapons and stones at Baldur, marveling as each one fell harmlessly away, unable to harm him. Axes dulled upon touching his skin, arrows snapped mid-flight, and stones bounced off him like raindrops off marble. But far away, in the shadows beyond the golden glow of the feast, Loki watched. His sharp eyes glittered with something dark and cruel, a flicker of mischief poisoned by malice. Loki, the trickster god, approached Frigg, disguised as an old woman, his voice cracked and trembling with feigned frailty. "Tell me, great queen," he wheezed, "is it true that all things have sworn never to harm your son?" Frigg, gentle and trusting, nodded. "All things, save one," she admitted. "A small sprig of mistletoe. It seemed too young, too frail to pose any threat." Loki's lips curled into a smile beneath his disguise. With the knowledge he sought now in hand, he vanished into the woods, where he plucked a single sprig of mistletoe. From it, he crafted a slender arrow, sharp and cold. Back in the golden hall of the gods, the game continued. Baldur stood in the center, laughing as stones and spears bounced harmlessly off him. Loki approached Hörder, Baldur's blind brother, who stood to one side, excluded from the revelry. "Why do you not join the others, Hörder?" Loki asked, his voice smooth as silk. "I cannot see, nor can I aim," Hörder replied, his voice tinged with sadness. "Fear not," said Loki, pressing the mistletoe arrow into Hörder's hand. "I will guide your aim." And so, with Loki's guiding hand, Hörder loosed the arrow. The tiny sprig of mistletoe flew silently through the air and struck Baldur square in the chest. The laughter ceased. The hall fell deathly silent. Baldur staggered, his radiant light flickering, his eyes wide with confusion. Then he fell, lifeless, to the polished floor of Valhalla. A collective wail rose from the gods, a sound of grief so deep it shook the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree. The gods built a magnificent pyre aboard Baldur's ship, Hringhorni, the largest vessel in all the 9 realms. They placed his lifeless body upon it, surrounded by treasures, flowers, and fine silks. His wife, Nanna, overcome with grief, fell dead upon the pyre and was laid beside him. Thor, with his mighty hammer Mjolnir, consecrated the ship. The flames rose high, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. The ship drifted out to sea, smoke trailing into the heavens. Desperate to save Baldur, Odin sent his son Hermod to ride to Helheim. For 9 nights, Hermod rode through darkness, mist, and silence, until he reached the halls of Hel, the cold and pale goddess of the dead. Hel agreed to release Baldur, but only if every being in the universe would weep for him. And so, the gods sent messengers across the 9 realms. Every creature, every stone, every tree shed tears for Baldur, all except one, a giantess named Thok, who was Loki in disguise. "Let Hel keep what she has," she said coldly. With those words, Baldur's fate was sealed. He would remain in Helheim until the end of days. The gods returned to Asgard, their heads bowed and their hearts heavy. Yet they knew one thing. When Ragnarök, the end of all things, came, and the world was reborn, Baldur would return. For light, no matter how faint, always has a way of breaking through the darkness. And so, dear listener, as you drift into sleep, remember, even in the coldest night, Baldur's light still glimmers on the horizon, as the light of hope, of renewal, of peace.